Well, hopefully everybody is very excited for my presentation tonight. Um, where is that pen? I'm going to need it while I explain things. Gotcha. Okay, so tonight's presentation is a lot of people wonder about manifesting and the law of attraction, the law of assumption. Oh, does that really work? Does positive thinking really help to build the future you want and shape things in your direction like you want to go? The answer is yes, of course it does. And believe it or not, we are actually manifesting everything every day depending on how our thoughts and feelings are actually formed. Now, I've been studying this since near the beginning of February. Many doors have opened up. I have gained sort of an abundance of knowledge about this because I became fascinated in understanding all the principles of how it works. Now, tonight, I'm going to explain the basic universal laws and the principles of how this all comes into effect. I'm going to give you basically a synopsis of how it all works. I will share with you my own personal technique that I find has helped make a great big difference for me. I've already noticed incredible changes. I mean, it is a growth period. It does take time. As Buddha once said, a jug is filled drop by drop. You have to keep drilling this into your subconscious for it to really start to take effect and to be able to have control over it. But we unknowingly have control already, because every day, depending on what we're feeling, what we're thinking, in the words of Neville Goddard, like the desired state we are in, like the current state we're in when we go to sleep, that actually determines the reality of tomorrow. Now, you can change that. Despite how your past might have been, it could have been, okay, it could have been very bad, it could be great, but you want it to get better. You actually have the power to control that. Now, if you're not conscious of what you're feeding your conscience, which is filtered into your subconscious, it could also become negative. Now, we're going to start off explaining the scientific principles behind all of this. There's 7 laws of the universe. The first law, because, well, they're not really in any particular order, but they all operate simultaneously, and they're all important in their own way to understand this. And then we will get into the subconscious mind, how you could start to project, and then I will share with you my own personal technique. Now, I used to bite my nails ever since I was a kid. In fact, I had people smack me, put soap in my mouth. They tried everything to stop me. I could not stop biting my nails until I believed I could. Now, I don't even remember the last time I did. And the same thing goes for marijuana. I struggled with that, and I even had a dependency on it, meaning I felt it was good for my mental disorders, whereas my mental disorders are better nowadays because I've been taking time to heal, focus on myself, because that's important. Self-love is really important because you have to fix yourself to build a real origin point for the future you desire. Like, you got to look at it as, okay, if I was the person in the future I want to be, how is that person? What does he feel? What would he do? And that's what they call inspired actions. Now, it's not just your thoughts, but it's your thoughts combined with your feelings internally from your heart, and then also whatever the body's physical attributes are. Like, if your body's moving into action, it starts to shift everything. Now, some people have this misconception that it's like magic or voodoo or something, that things fall from the sky. And that's not it at all. It's actually a really scientific-based theory. And that's why I will explain the laws of the universe. These are physics principles, and it all revolves around the concept of matter and energy. And once I actually start off with this, you'll see, oh, okay, so this isn't some just fictional, crazy, cult, magic, fictional idea, right? You'll actually see, no, there's actual scientific and psychological truth. There is spiritual elements to it, but there's also physical elements, like I said, the idea of matter and energy being involved. Now, the first thing you must understand is, this is the big key thing, which all these 7 universal laws all revolve around. They all center around this key point. Energy just is. It's either positive or it's negative. It's how we project it outwards that starts to put everything in motion. Now, the first law of the universe is the law of perpetual transmutation. By putting out energy consistently, the universe has to respond. If you put out energy and you have an image of it in your mind, and then you feel it, like you really feel like, okay, I'm going towards that direction, the universe has no choice but to basically start to take shape and form that energy into the most appropriate and convenient way that it can clothe itself. In fact, to quote a very famous person from the Bible, Job, he once said, "Lo, the thing I fear most has come to be." Now, because he was worried, he was thinking with fear, the fears manifested themselves. Now, that's why I say this could either be used for good or bad. Now, in the middle, everything just is. That is a very solid principle of matter that you need to understand as well. But a key crucial element, sorry, my laptop's dying. Let me just plug that in so we don't get cut off here. I forgot to charge it after meditating. One moment. There we go. I was wondering why the screen was going dark. But yeah, meditation is actually a very necessary tool to keep yourself in that mind state. You have to keep your mind and your feelings and everything all balanced in that state in order to achieve this, in order for it to work. It's very crucial and essential, because another way of looking at it is, well, we'll get to that when we discuss this law, but going in order, as I was saying, the law of perpetual transmutation basically states that everything you are thinking of and building an image of, and then you internalize it, it starts to project outwards, because energy is constantly moving through form, into form, and back out into form. So that's how you look at it. It's constantly like a wheel turning. It's channeling itself outwards. So depending on the thoughts and the feelings you are projecting, that becomes your current reality. I do apologize for the loud people talking in the background. I don't know why they have to do that right now, but well, that's life, and that's why you got to kind of brush off the negative aspects. See, that's the thing too. We will get into this more when I discuss the conscious and the subconscious, but your conscience has the ability to accept or reject anything it's projected into it. Now, you could, focus on the bad. We hear so many bad things in the news and the media and all that stuff. If we focus on that, that actually creates more negativity in our own reality. If we choose to just reject that, say, get out of here, I'm not paying attention to that, like pay it no mind. Like if somebody told you a rubbish story that you knew was absurd, and you're like, yeah, whatever, then that's actually the best route to go when it comes to things that are not going to have a positive effect on your state. Your state being your physical feelings, your emotional feelings, and your mental state as well. Now, with that said, depending on what you are projecting in here, internalizing here, and take into action, then the energy has to basically start to manifest itself into whatever type of energy you're feeding it. Past, present, and future don't really matter. Think of it like this. Time is an illusion in that sense, that it doesn't matter. You can actually shift the entire vibration of your circumstances by how you choose to feel or accept things. Now, if they're bad, negative things, reject them. If they're good, and you realize the truth of what I'm saying, then take it to heart and really embed this into your soul, because that will start to take shape. Now, the second law is the law of gender or gustation. Everything requires its own specific time to form into shape. Now, what this means is, a good example of this would be, you look at how when you're growing plants, you plant seeds in, they take a certain time to grow. As long as you don't disturb the seed, you take care of it properly, you water it the right amount, you give it the right amount of sunshine, positive energy, it will start to manifest into reality. Now, the same could be said with bad flowers, like weeds. You could let the weeds grow, but you don't want the weeds to grow. You got to get rid of the weeds sometimes to let the flowers grow, which means you got to let go and accept your past. Just, it is what it is, forget it, move on, and just focus on the here and where you're going. Now, a great definition of success in any regards, but this does apply to it, is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. This was a quote from Earl Nightingale, which I heard from Bob Proctor, one of my teachers, and it makes a lot of sense, because as long as you are progressing forward, you are succeeding. It is actually a very big difference between success and failure. It depends on how you look at it. It's like a razor's edge. You could sit there and think about the bad, or you could say, okay, I didn't get quite where I wanted to go yet, but I'm getting closer every day. So I am succeeding. As long as you keep moving forward, then you are successful. You are succeeding. So keep that in mind. Now, the whole idea of the law of gender ingustation, everything has its own appointed time. This was actually brought to my attention in a Neville Goddard lecture, that once you set an intention via affirmations or whatever technique you're doing to actually try to manifest something, you have to leave it alone and let the universe work things out for itself. Now, with me, my main goal is, there's, true love I desire, right? And I had sort of a fixed image of what it would be. But then sometimes if you leave it alone and you just let the universe work its magic, it has a way of bringing it to you, or better. But you can't disturb the flow. It's like, don't bother the universe, don't bother God. Oh, is it coming? When is it coming? That won't help you at all. Like, you set the intention, you assume that state, you basically put yourself in that shoe. Like, put yourself in that future version of yourself's shoes. Like, how would they feel? Oh, they'd be happy and grateful and all excited because, yeah, it's mine. I finally did it. I made it. So assume you already are that and live as though you were, and keep progressing towards that. And then your subconscious, which has no ability to reject what it is, whether it's fake or real, it just takes in what you give it. So if it believes it to be true, it has no choice but to manifest outwards and reflect that. Basically, our reality, our perception, is controlled by what is inside us, what our subconscious views as the current reality. Now, a lot of us believe that things are impossible or illogical or unrealistic, as they say, right? But here's the thing. That's not true at all. In fact, to quote the Bible, there's 2 verses which actually show this idea has existed since the dawn of man. In fact, even before that, the Greek god Hermes said, if you want to change your life, you have to change your vibration, change your state. And by changing your state, as above, so below, as within, so without, so internal is external, etc. So, what the Bible says, though, is through God could be interpreted in many different ways. Many people have different religious beliefs, which it doesn't matter, because what you project and believe it to be is your reality. I do believe that there is a lot of truth in the Bible, and that's why I believe, yes, of course there's a God. The Taoists refer to it as the Tao. I actually believe they're 100% right too, because they say the more you try to focus on what God is, what He looks like, the less understanding you will develop for yourself. It's best to just understand that it is a force beyond our comprehension. It is all energy and matter in existence in the universe. That's why a lot of people refer to it as the universe who aren't religious. But realistically, you look at it as God, the Tao, Allah, all that stuff, the universe. It is all one entity. Now, this entity governs everything in existence. Everything. Now, we as human beings, through the gift of our imagination, which is a great gift that, the universe has given us, can become the co-creator of our reality depending on what we feed our subconscious. Now, I know this is a lot of information I'm throwing at you, but what the Bible says is, through God, all things are possible. And then in the book of Mark, it says, all things are possible through man who believes. That means that if you believe it enough, you are that certain of it, it has no choice but to become real to you. That's why so many people, they're so convinced of what they believe. When it comes to religion, they're like, oh, I believe this. It must be real. I've seen it. I've experienced it. They are so dead set in what they believe that it is 100% true. Now, that's not a bad thing. But I will give you an example of where that could be a bad thing, if you really believe something and it might be a negative thing that has been fed to you. Now, what they call A paradigm, to explain in simple terms, is a multitude of habits shaped by our environment, the people around us, all the surroundings, the media, family, friends, etc. If people believe that they're a certain way because of what their environment, because of what people have fed to them is, that paradigm is locking them in that current reality. Now, in order to get out of that paradigm, to be free, to be able to change your life, you have to start approaching it from an unrealistic perspective, an illogical perspective. And once you actually take that approach, you kind of throw it out the window, then everything is possible. Because if you believe everything is possible, that all that negative stuff in the past no longer applies, it isn't real, it doesn't matter, it was nonsense, it's absurd, it's rubbish, then you actually can move towards where you're going. And that is crucial for you to understand, because the paradigm will constantly try to lock you into it because of how our conscience is programmed. Basically, there's a part of our brain right at the stem of it called the reticular activation system. Not a lot of people explain this in the manifesting and positive mindset courses. I actually learned this from my teacher, Mary Kate. God bless her, she's wonderful. She explained that it's a safety mechanism within the brain that basically says it makes your conscious try to argue reasonably and logic, but you have to ignore that if you're going to push forward. And the paradigm, because it's defensive in many cases, it's not always a bad thing. Now it could be a good thing. You look at it as it's meant to protect us in the sense you know not to touch a hot stove because it's going to burn you. You're not going to go pet a saber-toothed tiger because it's going to eat you. That has existed since the dawn of man, since man were cavemen. That was to protect us. Now, it doesn't mean it can't be changed. You have to reprogram your brain to get rid of all the garbage your mind has been fed and reprogram it with new ideas, that all things are possible, that everything you desire really can come to be if you push forward and believe in it enough. And I say that because I've already seen amazing changes, and every day I see more and more. Now, getting back to the laws, now that we've covered a bit of basic ground to stand on, there's also the law of cause and effect. Every single cause in the universe creates an effect no matter what. And a lot of people say every cause has a reaction, right? That is true. Basically, for everything you put energy out towards, it has to have an effect of some degree, whether good or bad. We have the choice in that. And just remember, choice is one of the most important things you can do, because you always have a choice. You can either react to a situation or you can respond. The real winners know how to respond and not react, because if you react, it's going to create a negative habit that you don't want. And you have to break your old habits to change your paradigm. Next law, which was discovered by Einstein, and here's an interesting fact. He did not figure this law out until he stopped thinking logically and put himself in his own imaginative mind. Now, here's the thing. Everything that exists, realistically, all was an idea at first, imagined, and then it became reality. It's because people persisted enough in the belief that they could develop it into a usable idea, that it was possible. They believed in it enough that it was. You look at it as examples, the Wright brothers. Nobody believed they could fly. In fact, for 5 years after they flew that plane, nobody believed they really had gotten off the ground. Now, here's the thing. Do you think the Wright brothers would have gotten in that plane and flown off the ground if they believed it was going to crash and kill them? No, of course not. Everybody told them it's impossible. That's nonsense. You're not going to be able to fly, because the theory was, and this was a scientific theory that had been dispelled at the time, that anything lighter than feathers or a bird could not rise above the ground to a certain degree. It would be drawn to the earth. So everybody believed it was impossible to fly. The Wright brothers believed, no, there was a way to do it, and they persisted into it. Eventually, it hardened into fact. And they did believe in it, because who would get in a plane thinking, oh, this might crash, this might fall to the ground and kill us? Would anybody willingly do it? No. They were sure it was going to work, and that's why it worked. That's part of the principle of it. Now, yes, there was a lot of technical theory. That's what you call inspired action. You do have to take action to create the reality you want, but you also have to have faith and believe that if it's good and you're working towards it, it will work out. Now, the universe has its own appointed time. which ties back to the law of gender and gestation. Everything has a harvest season. Everything has its own time to grow. Whether it's, a fetus in the womb becoming a child, it's animals giving birth to their offspring, it's flowers in a garden. You have to let it grow. Don't disturb it. Leave it alone. But you have to persist in it too. Once you're sure of it, then you leave it alone. But you have to persist in it until you know 100% it has manifested itself into the 3D world. Now, a simple way of explaining this: we live in a material world, but we are actually spiritual beings. That's why we have the gift of imagination. That's why we have things that we can't explain at times, because we are spiritual beings within. The universe within us is so much bigger than the universe outside. And that is a very difficult concept for a lot of people to understand, because everybody believes that your mind is your brain. It's not. It is a very important part of the body. It's an electronic switching station which basically activates all your nerves. It sends you into motion. But it's not the mind. The mind is internal. That's the big misconception. Everybody thinks the mind is the brain. It is no more your mind than your fingernail is. It is internal. Now you have to understand that to work forwards with it. Now, as I was saying, with the law of relativity, your current state determines all that is around you. By being a certain way, things have to be a certain way around you. It's like you can't have a whole bag of red apples and then suddenly one apple is magically going to turn green in them. You understand? If it is a bag of red apples, then every apple is going to be red naturally. They're not going to sell you a bag of red apples and just randomly throw one green apple in there unless the person's careless, right? But realistically, that's how you look at it. If you're buying a bag of red apples, every apple is going to be red. That's a simple way of looking at it. Now, Einstein applied this principle to, like, the speed of light. It's like, how does light travel? Light travels instantly, because that's how you could flip on a switch and it's there. That's how you could see shooting stars. That's how the sun comes up. Everything has its own appointed time, but it is meant to be the way it is. Like, if a light is supposed to turn on when you flip the switch, then that's exactly how it will be. Unless the light bulb's dead, but that's a different story. That is, well, you need to change the light bulb, which that could be said about many people as far as their internal conscience. But moving on, the next law of the universe is the law of rhythm. Now, this law is very important because everything that goes out must come back in an endless cycle. Now, a good example of this is the tide. When the tide goes out, it comes back in. After the sun goes up, and then it goes down, then the moon comes up, and then it goes down. And you look at the seasons, it goes spring, summer, fall, winter. Winter never follows winter, and winter, like, you think about it like this. Winter isn't going to jump back to summer either. It has a cycle, and it repeats itself. That is the law of rhythm. Everything has its own rhythm. That's why they say everything's got a beat, everything's got a rhythm, because everything has its own consistency to the cycle. You even look at the idea of a song. What makes a song good? It has a consistent rhythm. You might have songs that have stop times. You might have songs that change tempos in the middle of it and stuff, but they are all keeping a rhythm for certain points of the song because everything has a rhythm. Now, with the law of polarity, everything has an opposite. Example, up, down, left, right, internal, external. So, by that idea, if you are, you look at it like this. Let's say you're working on trying to manifest something, and you're going through a lot of struggles because you're making big changes, and they're hard struggles. That means that to triumph over the struggles, it's going to be that much greater of a reward. That's the opposite of it. Whereas if you're trying to get something small and the struggles are minor, they're not really that big of a deal at all, is because the reward on the other side isn't that hard. So that's a universal law of polarity. And the seventh law is the most important one that you basically need to understand in order to manifest everything, the one that everybody is so confused about. How does this all work? And they think it's some sort of magic, law of attraction, because some people have seen the movie The Secret and they think it's fascinating, but they don't really understand all the in-depth work that it takes to really make this the way they have understood it. Now, the law of attraction is also known as the law of vibration and assumption. Basically, everything has its own magnetism. Good attracts good feelings, and good things attract positive feelings. Bad things attract bad feelings, and bad things attract negative things. So, depending on the energy you're putting out, will determine what comes back to you. So, these are very important concepts to understand when you're trying to study the law of attraction. I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but please feel free to rewatch this video, and anybody who tunes in, if you have any questions, or you'd like some material recommended to you that might help you understand this better, feel free, because I felt as I studied this too, I wouldn't want to teach this for my own personal gain and charge money like some people. I would just want to share it because it's knowledge everybody should know. It's the important education they lack to teach us in school. You never hear a teacher say, "Hey, children, let's sit down and have a class about thinking today." They should. They should teach you that your thinking really does control everything. How many times have you heard people say, "Oh, a positive attitude makes all the difference. You got to change your attitude," or "Don't dwell on things. Mind over matter." You've heard all these cliches, but you don't really understand the depth of what they're saying. Think about it like this. If somebody says they feel bad, do you know what they're really saying? They never say it this way, which makes me laugh because Bob pointed it out. But realistically, if they say they're feeling bad, it means they are subconsciously moving towards a negative idea and is projecting a bad vibration outwards. They never say it that way, but realistically, that's what they're doing. So keep that in mind. Now that I've explained all that, we will get into my technique. Now, a lot of people use the idea of affirmations, which I do find is empowering. It's very helpful. What they also call as auto-suggestion or self-talk. And it is a method I use daily because it helps to build your confidence and it fixates the idea in your brain. By writing it out, your brain subconsciously is able to become more aware of it, and then by repeating it out loud with feelings, you start to internalize that feeling and how it feels, and it becomes familiar. So it is an important step. It's something I'd recommend to anybody. Now, there's a lot of different ways you could go about manifesting. Some people say they can't imagine things when they close their eyes. All they see is black. But you can. You have to tap into your imaginative and creative side. We all have it within us. But it's up to you to, think outside the box. Use what you know, what you would see as the reality you'd want to be. Think about how it would be. Give it an image. Picture an image in your brain, and that's how you start to imagine. Now, everybody has their own different approach of how they can reprogram their subconscious to accept what they want and desire to be true. Now, I have my own technique and approach to this. This is because I'm naturally a creative and intelligent person. That's why I actually picked up on all this knowledge so fast, I think, and I became so fascinated and absorbed by it because I'm like, I want to share this with others, but I get why it takes so long to understand it. So I actually found my own simple route to approach the idea without too much complexity. And this is what I call the Atlamillia trick. Now, I got the idea from an old video game I used to love playing called Dark Cloud 2. Now, in the game, you have two main characters, which are kind of the basis of my idea in this. They are two characters named Max and Monica. Now, each of them holds on their hand an Atlamillia stone. Bear with me. I know you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with it? But just hear me out. So each of them has a stone that can take them to the future and the present. Now, here's the thing. Time, as I said earlier, is an illusion. If you ignore the fact is, everything has always existed and everything always will exist in some way or another. Now, the way it works in the game, to shape and build the perfect future in the game as you go through all the different levels, you fight the bosses, like any typical video game. But what is a cool, interesting concept is you have to build the perfect future. That's the idea of the game. And realistically, I was like, that's exactly what you're doing manifesting. You go to the future, you take in everything what the future is currently, and you say, okay, how should the future look? How would it look if it's perfect? Okay, I got to go back to the present and do this and do that and make it like that. And then you will start to see, okay, you go back to the future. Okay, so a good future, a perfect future would look like this. Okay, so a fun and creative way to think outside of the box, and this is just my own approach too. Everybody has their own way of how they're going to understand it. Every technique works for each person. But I thought this is actually a very simple idea that even a child could understand, because I understood this even playing the video game. It just all kind of came back full circle to me recently. But you look at this chart here. I do apologize for the light. See how there's the present and the future? You decide. Now, the way the arrow goes in the beginning, you would also look at it as there's a returning point in this case. Now, through your imagination, you have a doorway to the future in a sense. Imagine you were a time traveler and you could go to the future and you saw the perfect future version of yourself having everything you wanted. How would it look? How would you perceive it to be if it was perfect, if it had everything you want? Okay, you'd be pretty happy and excited and grateful, and you would be feeling overjoyed, like, wow, this is wonderful, right? So you take those feelings, that desired state from the future. We are here in the present, but if you work towards it, knowing what the perfect future should look like, it will manifest into reality as long as you take the necessary steps and work towards it. Now, you have to believe it. That's why faith and belief are a crucial thing. And when you're thinking things, keep them positive, because you want positive things to generate. You don't want negative things, right? But then you also have to internalize it. When you're reading your affirmations or you're thinking of things that you would want in the future, really get into the feeling. Like, imagine you were that current version of yourself in the future, right? You would be very happy, right? So this is what I call the Atlamillia theory, because it's like, imagine how the future self would be. How would they feel? Would they be excited? Would they be happy? Would they be grateful? Would they be relieved? All the bad stuff that happened to me before in the past, it doesn't even matter now. I'm living like a king. It's all good, right? So if you had everything, okay, take that and then hold on to that feeling. Internally hold on to it. And you persist in the assumption, as Neville Goddard would say, until it becomes in reality. Now, the universe, God, has its own appointed time for everything. That's the law of gender and gestation, right? Everything takes time to grow. You might not know the how, the why, the when, the what, or the means, or anything to do with it. But if you believe that that is what's going to happen, and people do this all the time, they actually feed their imagination with unpleasant things that start to manifest into reality. And I say I am personally guilty of this. I have seen enough negative things that I had manifested in the past. I try to avoid a negative vibration and frequency for this point. Now, I use my example that I want true love with, either a specific person or somebody better, somebody I would imagine to be my special person, right? So I think, okay, how would the future me feel? He'd be so happy and excited, like, oh, I finally got somebody I wanted to be with. All right, I'm the man. Okay, I've succeeded with my career. I've sold mad records. Okay, so you internalize that feeling, and then you work towards it, knowing that if you believe and you persist in it long enough, it's going to become reality. Now, I can give you examples of this too, where this has become apparent in history even. A lot of the most successful people in the world became successful even under unnatural circumstances that didn't even fit the typical environment at the time, because they persisted in the belief and the assumption until it hardened into reality. You look at it as a great example I love to use is Bill Robinson. He was actually the highest paid black entertainer like his time in a segregated era. Now, this was a man that was so happy and joyful all the time. No matter what happened, he wouldn't let anything bring him down. And he grew up alone. He did have a hard life, but he believed in himself because nobody ever told him he couldn't do anything. He had an open subconscious, like, oh, I could do anything. He believed he could, and that's why he kept accomplishing greater and greater levels of success. That's why he appreciated the generosity, because he was so filled with positivity, it just projected out of him in so many great ways. Another example of this is the great Louis Armstrong. A lot of people would know him from the song What a Wonderful World, which that is a clear indication how positive the man was. That's why everybody loves him. They remember him for it. But think about it. He was a man that ever since he was young, he was staying with a Russian family at the time. He was helping with the kids, and, they encouraged him. They said, oh, you could sing pretty good, son. And, he believed it. Oh, I could sing good. That's why when people first told him, like, oh, that sounds gravelly, I don't know if that's going to work, Louis. He didn't care. He's like, no, that's how I sing. That's my own way. And you think about it. He is iconically remembered for singing his own way. So he was right. He believed in it. It became so. And also, when he had gotten into, like, a basic minor law scuffle around his teenage years, he got sent to the Colored Waifs home, right? And while he was there, he picked up a trumpet and he started playing, and he got so good at it because he's like, you know what? I'm gonna master an instrument. I'm gonna be so good at it, and he believed he would. That at 13 years old, he was leading the entire Waifs home band, and then when he got out, he just kept getting better and better and better, and still to this day, they consider him the greatest trumpet player of all time. He became the greatest trumpet player of all time. He is able to play things no other trumpet player can play for the sake that he believed he was the best. Another great example of this is Muhammad Ali. Do you know, before he declared he was the greatest, he believed he was the greatest. When he was working out, when he was training, when he was getting ready for all those big fights, he would tell himself, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest. And he believed it, right? So it manifested into reality. Another big, huge inspiration to me, an artist that I absolutely love, and this is a great example too, is the legendary jazz pianist Fats Waller. Now, this is why I'm using these examples, is because I could tell you historically, these people were in control of their paradigm. And this is why they became what they were. Fats, he was such a happy, easy-go-lucky guy. You think about it, all these people were very positive. They really believed to that degree that that was going to happen for them, right? Fats Waller, ever since he was a young child, he was a child prodigy. He was a genius. He could play anything by ear, read any sheet music that was given to him. And then he had three of the greatest jazz pianists, even when he was a kid. He had Lucky Roberts, Willie the Lion Smith, and James P. Johnson telling him, like, wow, you can outplay all of us, Fats. You're one of the greatest pianists I've ever heard. And he believed it. And that's why you notice, by the time he died up till now, he has accumulated an $86 million net worth with all the compositions and songs he recorded. Fats Waller's success was outstanding in a segregated era. He did films, he did big shows, he kept growing and growing and growing. He had a very short career because he didn't take care of himself, but he was such a happy-go-lucky, bubbly guy that everything he believed began to manifest into reality. So that's why I use these two examples. Two of the greatest artists that ever lived. They were so positive. They were so happy-go-lucky. And look at all the success they had because they believed that it would happen. Not many artists like that had that much success back then because of the racist issues and all that. It was very difficult. These two are perfect examples of two that, and Bill Robinson too would be three. They triumphed so far over the best. You even look at somebody like Billie Holiday. She actually had more of a negative paradigm, because she had went through really hard conditioning, very painful things. And I will show you all of this because I have an autographed picture of her, right? She actually was told very early on that she was the best singer anybody had ever heard, and she believed in it. Now, she had been told horrible things and been hurt in many other ways, which is why her life did end tragically, because that was the negative aspect of her paradigm backfiring her. But here's the thing. She still did become one of the greatest jazz singers of all time because she believed she was. Everybody had fed her that positive support. Like, wow, Billy, you blow us all away. She was humble about it, too. She's like, oh, I don't know. That's what they say. They must say it, so it's true. Like, she was humble about it. But because everybody had drilled it into her head, her subconscious accepted that she was one of the greatest. So, don't ever sit there and tell you, oh, I don't know if I can achieve that. I don't know if that's realistic or if it's possible or logical. No. Throw that out the box because that isn't serving you. In school, we are fed so many things. We are taught so many things through textbooks, through all our different lessons, right? But here's the thing. We are not taught how to take those skills, all that knowledge, and apply it in the real world. You will see people sometimes, they have superior knowledge. They're geniuses. Me, myself, I have a 186 IQ, and I have my share of struggles, right? And then you look at people who got like degrees, coming out their yin-yang, and they have inferior results. Superior knowledge, but inferior results, because the paradigm, everybody's saying, oh, well, it's hard because of the economy. It's hard to get a job. All this negative conditioning backfires and manifests into their reality. Now, it is never too late. You can actually pick up your life and start all over again. This is why I say, I use this example. You see how I cut off the past here? See how I cut off the past? I drew a line. Because don't let the past control you. Leave the past behind. Whatever happened in the past clearly wasn't serving you if you want your life to improve. Yeah, sure, there might be good things to look back on. There might be good memories and all that. That's okay. Take the good, leave the bad. Now, here's the thing. There is always good and bad energy in the present. Everything just is. Now, when you focus on one, that's what starts to grow. That's what starts to shed light on your reality. Now, if you focus on the bad, more and more bad is going to get attracted to you. If you focus on the good, if you feel good, more good's going to come to you. That's how it works. Now, the reason I use this Atlamillia idea is because the video game actually explained it to me. How do you create the future in the video game to be perfect? You have to travel back and forth. Now, you can do that in your mind. It might sound crazy, it might sound far-fetched, but no, think about it. If you can imagine it, then it can very well believe. You can very well understand that anything you believe and imagine could very well happen. If you can't imagine it, then it probably can't happen. But if you can imagine it, of course it can. That's how you look at it. It's like when you're internalizing and you're thinking and you're feeling things, trying to manifest, travel to the future in your mind. Okay, this is what the perfect future should look like. Okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. And yeah, it's going to be grand, it's going to look great, it's going to be wonderful when it's all done. Yeah, okay, it doesn't look so great yet, but it's going to be great. It's going to be great. In fact, when you're in the future, hold on to that feeling that you're already there. You've already seen what the perfect future is. You're that future self coming back in time. That's the best way you could look at it too. Don't look at it as you don't have it. You're trying to chase after it. That doesn't help it. Because the more you chase something, the more you push it away. You have to act as though it's already in your possession. You are your future self. Travel from the future back in time and fix the origin point. Hopefully that makes sense to people. Now, I have drawn another diagram which is a lot smaller. I will take a picture and post it in the comments after, just so you can get an understanding of this. I don't know how well you can see it. You probably can't read the details, so I'll read them to you. My writing is a bit messy, but okay. Basically, where the one part is here with the line, that's the forgotten past. All the negativity, that's the devil. That's the paradigm. That's Emperor Griffin. Leave it in the past. It does you no good. That's the abyss of Naraku you do not want to focus on. Forget it. Move forward. It is what it is. Accept it. Just let it go. And then as you're moving forward, you start at an origin point. Because you need to fix the origin point to restore the perfect future. Look at it like this. Imagine the perfect future already existed. You were from the perfect future in a way. Because we all have this ability within us. We all have this divine ability within us because, as Jesus would say, we are one with God, right? We all have the potential within us. It's locked away. We have to go back to the origin point and fix it to restore the perfect future that does exist. So, how, when, and means don't really matter. You will get signs. The universe will guide you as you become more in tune with your intuition, but you have to trust what you know as you go along will make sense to the vision of your future. Don't think of how you would think in the past. Think and feel and act as though you were that future person already. Now that's why I say belief, faith, feeling, and energy, and the imagination, the subconscious, it's all one thing. You have to take control of that. That is taking control of your paradigm, and that's when the energy starts to shift. Once you accept, I am now the co-creator, okay, I have to restore the past and the origin point to make the perfect future shine bright again. And you can. You very well can. So, that's why on my journey, I basically decided to, okay, I want to find true love. I don't want to get taken for granted. I don't want to be treated like dirt anymore, right? Letting that go, it won't happen anymore. From now on, I'm not settling for less. I will love myself because by loving myself, more people will grow to love me. By being positive, by being kind, by being good to others, by being grateful, by being the way the perfect super kami guru Alucard is in the future. I put myself in those shoes. I am the time traveler returning back from the future, right? When I take it from that perspective, it's like, okay, I can't be doing that anymore. I can't be doing that anymore because that's not me. You're no longer that person. Sleep in the desired state when you go to bed every night, and when you wake up, be in that desired state because that is the time your subconscious is most open to perceiving things. That is a crucial thing not a lot of people realize. The big game changers with the law of attraction and manifesting is understanding the crucial times of when your subconscious is most open. The doorway is right when you basically wake up. That's when you're coming out of it. It is open for a bit. And then when you're going to sleep and you're getting tired, then it's open. Now, that's why if you get tired, if you're stressed and stuff like that, you get worn out from the day, that's when actually your subconscious starts to open because you're naturally tired. You don't want to manifest things. That's why serenity and being calm within your mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. You have to learn to govern yourself within to control the external world and how you perceive it to be. That's what a lot of people don't understand about the positive thinking. Now, it's not magic, it's not voodoo, it's science, it's spirituality because God is involved. God is one within all of us. How do you think Jesus was able to do all the miracles he did? He walked on water. He turned water into wine. He resurrected the dead. He healed the sick. How did he do it? Because he believed so strongly he could, and he was one with God, the God of the universe. The universe and God are one within us. That's how it works. That's what they don't explain to you in a lot of cases. Now, once you understand that, you have to try to always be in the desired state. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to go through struggles. You're not going to have doubts and worries along the way. But that's why you got to pray. You got to meditate. You got to try to keep yourself in the positive state as much as you can. And like I said, always keep in mind the most crucial times for this becoming apparent in reality are right before you go to sleep and right when you first wake up. That's when the doorway is most open. So always, always try to be in the most positive state that you can be right then and there. And a good piece of advice, I would say, if you really want to start seeing good changes start to manifest in your life right away, a simple trick anybody could do. Write on 2 pieces of paper 6 words. Good things are coming my way. Now repeat them 3 times every day when you get up, and then 3 times before you go to bed at night. You will see, and say them with feeling, like believe they really are coming, and you will see every day it will keep getting better and better. Tell yourself that too. That's a good affirmation too. That's why affirmations are important. Tell yourself, Everything keeps getting better every day. And you will go through hardships, you will go struggles, but that's why I explain the law of polarity. If you're going through hard struggles, it just means that the reward once you overcome the struggle is going to be that much greater. That's why this is very crucial and important to understand. I know this is a lot of information, so please feel free to rewatch the video, ask me any questions about anything you might want to know. And in fact, because we do have a viewer right now, if you would like to ask questions, feel free, because I think I've explained my lecture, my technique to the best of my ability in the moment, and I'm open for any questions if anybody has now. I will wait, see if anybody has any questions. If not, leave them in the comments. If you need any resources, please ask, send me your email. I will help you out in any way I can. And I don't want any money for it, because I'm simply sharing this knowledge because we all should know it. It is good for mankind. In the words of Neville Goddard in his book, Feeling is the Secret, which I recommend to anybody, and I can email it to you very easily, he says, use this creative power within you to maintain and create an ideal world. So that's what I will conclude it on with my lecture. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to ask now. This is the time, right? So, and if not, well, then we will conclude our program, and I hope anybody watching this will really take this to heart, study what I'm saying, and look into it, research it, look into this all for yourselves, and you'll see everything I am saying is true, because I have seen it to be true. I see it to be more and more true every day, and the more I understand the importance and study it, the more it makes sense. So, do understand it, take this to heart. And yeah, like I was saying, if there's any questions now from our viewer or any future viewers, please feel free to comment or say anything. I'm going to have a smoke break just because, I'm all hype. I'm all hype in a good way, though. It's not in a bad way, but I'm like, okay, I'll catch a breath. Anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Which... that is going to be the next step I work towards quitting. I know with absolute certainty I will quit smoking by the end of March. That'll be the next step. I've already quit smoking marijuana. I've quit biting my nails. And that's why I say I've seen some fantastic changes that the old me didn't believe was even fathomable, or like wasn't possible. So trust me, it's real. You have to believe it and really trust how this whole system works. That's why I've tried to explain it using a creative and imaginative way that everybody could grasp it and really see what you need to do if you want to change your life. So I hope this knowledge helps everybody, anybody who watches it. So what I will say is we will probably end the broadcast in about... Well, we'll end it at the 50-minute mark. Well, it says it's about 52 minutes now into the broadcast. My timer counts down to 48, but I will give some time for our viewer if they have a question or if anybody joining in has any questions. But please do watch this and really try to take into your heart. Listen with your heart, your feelings. And you'll see that what I'm saying makes perfect sense, because we are all manifesting every day. If we're thinking and feeling negative things, they start to become a reality. So stop that. Stop having these internal, unpleasant conversations with yourself. Believe good things. Really see the good, and the good will grow. And once you harvest the good, you'll be like, wow, Super Comic Guru Alucard really was wise all along. Of course. But, yeah, if that's all we have, then we will end this soon. But what I will say is, you know, there is a specific person that I do have strong feelings for, and that's what I've been working towards. In fact, it was their motivation that led me on this path. This is an interesting fact. I'm going to give you examples of things I had manifested before I had even started to learn this, which proves we are all manifesting things without realizing it. I look at it like this. Near the end of the year, I had gone through some very terrible things. Friends betraying me, my band abandoning me. This woman had, you know, been very pushy and aggressive and forceful, to say it in a simple, blunt way. But these things didn't break me to the extent it should have. What it made me feel was, okay, next year, I got to change my life. I got to make it better. And I felt that. I was like, okay, next year, it's going to be different. It's not going to be like this anymore. And then one by one, all the doors started opening. I met my first teacher, Mariko. She introduced me to the 5-day manifesting seminar. I learned a lot from her, but she saw potential in me. She knew I couldn't afford to take her full-on coaching course, but she saw, okay, this guy has a lot of talent, he has a lot of intelligence, he just doesn't have access to the necessary resources. So she pointed me in the direction of Bob Proctor's program, 6 Minutes to Success, which only cost $1 the first month, and then it goes up to $27. Not much. It's actually worth it, right? Because you get little droplets of information to let it really sink into your subconscious if you rewatch it, right? You get a lot of great free resources too. So I do that. I did that. I also started watching videos from a miracle life coach named Robert Zink. He sent one of his proteges to have a video call with me named Agne. She gave me some books, one by Robert Zink on the Law of Attraction, and another one by Neville Goddard, Feeling is the Secret, which I recommend to anybody. I started watching his lectures, and he was great because he really explained how all of this is in the Bible. And he really gave some great testimonies and examples of why nothing is possible. So that was the first few couple teachers. Now, I really wanted to study this, and I wanted to have an in-depth coach that could help me. Now, I'm still filling through the course. I have enrolled myself in her Abundance Academy course, but that was my next teacher, Mary Kate, who explained the importance of the reticular activation system. Now, that came a bit later. In between that, I had met somebody who they were a tarot reader, but they also were in tune with manifesting and understanding this knowledge of the universe, right? A lovely lady named Tina Reads You on YouTube is her channel, right? And I had joined this group with about 300 people during what they called the portal. It's basically when we had February 22nd, there were 5 2s in a row. Because there was only one time in our lifetime that will ever be present, a big magical doorway opened up as far as energy. All the energies of the universe aligned. So because there were 300 people here, all generating energy towards the same thing, reaching for our goals, I had the perfect manifestation vision of my future. That's when I saw myself. I saw myself in the future. First, it was wonderful because we all entered this meditative state, where we all meditated, we all kind of prayed, we set out our intentions, and then as I meditated, I went into this deep trance where I saw myself go all the way to planet Namek, that's where the basis of Super Kami Guru Alucard was. It exists in the heavens. It's not a real planet in our reality, in the 3D world, but in the heavens it exists. And I saw it, and it was beautiful, it was wonderful. And then after that, I snapped into the future version of myself, a few years from now. And it was wonderful because I saw myself, I was smiling, all my teeth were fixed, I had quit everything. I had become really successful because I had this grand house, big stairway leading up to these floors. I had a whole band sitting there with me taking a picture, like for a new album cover. And then I had the woman of my dreams, her children, and then my own little daughter Sakura, and I saw it, and I was like, wow, I'm like, that's the me I want to be, because I had everything was good. It even had the beautiful moonflower garden out front, right? It was wonderful. So I asked myself, and that's what, like, we were told to do. Ask yourself, what do you need to do? And you know what the future me told myself? He said, just keep progressing forward. You are on the right path. Everything will be as it should be when the time is right. And I was so happy, I hugged my future self. I was even crying tears of joy. It was very deep and powerful, right? But that's how I saw. That's my vision. That's the future vision. When I was trying to write out what people were telling me, my other teachers through the lessons, I couldn't quite get the perfect image in my head. But that opened the doorway. That's when I was like, that's the perfect vision. That's who I am now. I'm no longer the me I am now. I am the me that is there. And that's when I started moving forward. And that's why I was like, okay, I got to manifest. I got to really study this and get into it. Since nobody's asking questions, I figured I'd share a little bit of the testimonies of why the teachers were all so important in their own unique way. So that's when I joined Mary Kate's class. And she showed me there's different ways to learn to manifest because everybody learns differently. Everybody has their own unique way of learning. There's visual learners. There's auditory learners like myself. There's logical learners, there's physical learners, and I forget what the last one is, but there's 5 different learning types. So that's what we are studying now in the course is all the different ways that you could best learn how to manifest. And it's while studying these, I came up with my own sort of technique and theory, the Atlamillia, because I started rewatching videos and listening to the Dark Cloud 2 soundtrack, where I got the idea that, okay, if you could travel to the future and back through your mind, the future you is traveling back and forth, not the you now. Let that you go. The future you has to take your place. And okay, how does that look? How does it grow? How does it start to become as it develops and change? And that's when I really had developed my own technique. And I love the Dark Clouds 2 soundtrack because it has this upbeat, positive energy to it that really gets me hyped. So I call it like my manifesting soundtrack. I often play the songs just to keep me in that positive, happy vibration as I'm moving towards this. And that is essential. So yeah, and that's why before I close, since there are no questions, please feel free to leave any questions in the comments. If you want to know more, let me know. I'm more than happy to help everybody. But just before I close, I will say you are all God's highest form of creation. You all have unlimited potential. You just have to believe and take a step forward. And if you need guidance, I am more than happy to help all of you. But you have to take a leap of faith. You have to make a commitment and say, okay, no matter what goes, if what he says is true, I want to see this through to the end, because that's what it takes. Patience is a virtue in this case, okay? But if anybody wants help, if they really want to see that what I'm saying is true, do what I'm telling you. And it's always good to have a coach, because by having a coach, you'll have somebody to lead you in the right direction and tell you how to take the next step. It is very important. I thank all my coaches and teachers, because that's how I've reached the state that I am in now. So, of course, thanks to Mariko. She's one of my friends on Facebook, so I appreciate her because she really pushed me forward in this direction. Her and this lovely woman that I have strong feelings for, even still, I can't lie. I'm just going to be honest, I still love them. I still hope the best in the future, but I also look at it as, well, if the universe is meant to bring me somebody better, it will. But I'll keep pushing forward towards all my other dreams, being the big artist, selling millions of records, doing everything I need to do, right? So, it was these two people that started me. That led me to Bob. By discovering Robert's videos on YouTube, I emailed him, I reached out. I actually used his hypnosis meditation, his miracle hypnosis meditations on his site. They're very helpful to help keep you in a positive state and to reprogram your subconscious. Like as you sit there and listen to them and you relax, you kind of zone out. It actually helps to clean out a lot of the gutter, like sort of negative programming in your brain. So very important. And then through Agne, I got the Law of Attraction. I got Robert Zink's book, of course, and then Neville Goddard's book, Feeling is the Secret. Watching his lectures, I was inspired. Of course, Tina, who sort of showed me the way to the portal to get the perfect image in my head. Grateful for that. And then Mary Kate, she is like my current teacher in the Abundance Academy that I'm enrolled in. And then also Bob's partner in the Proctor Gallagher firm, she's shared some lessons too that are very valuable about affirmations. They are important, and developing your resources too. So as you could tell, I've had a lot of great teachers along the way. I have learned so many things from so many different people, and I'm grateful for all of them. So that's the main one. So I am so happy and grateful that they gave me all the tools and knowledge I needed to move forward and really change my life. And I'm grateful for all of you, happy and appreciative for all of you, my friends who have stuck with me, who believe in me, who, you know, probably can see the truth of what I'm saying. And I would wish nothing but the best for you. I ain't going to force it on you. But if you hear this and it really speaks to your inner mind and your inner heart, feel free to reach out to me. Don't be ashamed. If you want a better life, trust me, I can tell you how. I can show you how. Because I am already progressing in that direction. And I'm going to get there. I don't know when. I don't know every detail of how yet. But I am absolutely certain I'm already there because I've stabilized my origin point. So, yeah, I would love to help you all. That's why I say I'm very thankful, happy, and grateful, appreciative for you all. This is where we will conclude it for the night. I also say I'm thankful, happy, and grateful for my family. And, You know, I'm even happy and grateful for the bad, because all the bad stuff in the past, if it weren't for that, if it weren't for that big spike, that push, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I have no regrets. I know that, hey, the future is going to be so wonderful. I am already there in some regards. It just takes time to manifest into our 3D reality. But knowing how wonderful it is, I'm grateful and loving for everything. So God bless you all. I hope this all hits you hard and that you see the truth of what I'm saying. And that if you want to change your life, I really hope you'll reach out, because I'd be more than happy to help you. And I don't want anything in return. I'd just be happy to give you the knowledge and any tools that would help you get results that stick, as Bob always says, and change your life for the better and make it real good. So God bless you all. Good night. Oyasumi Nasai. And take care, everybody.